We are reading from the Rash's article. What does it mean that man's blessing is the blessing of the sons in the work? What does it mean that man's blessing is the blessing of the sons in the work he can find the material in? Study material tab in the system. You can also send questions. What does it mean that man's blessing is the blessing of the sons in the work? It's written in the Zohar about the verse. He asks about the verse. And he blessed Joseph and said, I will bless the lads. We should look in this verse for it. Says he blessed Joseph, but we find no blessing for Joseph here, that he blessed Joseph, but his sons. He replies, Rabbi said it is precisely it, since it implies mal. It is written blessed Joseph, which is the blessing of his sons, since his sons and are regarded as which is called it, and when his sons are blessed he is blessed. First, this is why it writ Joseph too. Since a man's sons are his blessing, we should understand what it means that if the sons are blessed, Joseph is blessed also in the work. What does this tell us? It is known that all our work is that we must achieve with the Creator, which is equivalence of form, meaning to bestow just as the Creator bestows upon the lower ones. Because of it we were given the work in to do them in order to bestow. By this one becomes corrected at the root of his soul, which is regarded as the whole of Israel. This is why Mal is called the assembly of Israel, since all the souls come from her. Hence, to the extent that they work in order to bestow, they cause Mal, who is called to unite with the Creator, called Zin, or of Zin, for is called righteous, who bestows upon Mal. However, when Mal is receiving for herself, she has no equivalence with the giver, called the Creator, and this is ed as the being far from the Creator due to disparity of form. This is considered that the Creator cannot bestow upon, and thus the souls have no abundance when the Creator cannot bestow upon the lower ones due to the disparity of form between them. This is called the sorrow of that is from the perspective of the receiver. She cannot receive abundance, because if she receives abundance for the lower ones, it will all go to the flip, called receiving in order to receive. It is also called sorrow from the perspective of the giver, because the thought of creation is to do good to his creations, but now he cannot give them the delight and pleasure, because everything that the creatures will have will go to the giver is sorry that he cannot give, like a mother who wants to feed her baby, but the baby is sick and cannot eat. At that time there is sorrow on the part of the giver. In the words of the Zohar, this is considered that there is sorrow above, that there cannot be unification, meaning for the giver to give abundance to the receiver. The giver of abundance to the lower ones is called Mal, who receives abundance from Zed. In the words of our sages, this is called Israel nourish their Father in heaven. What is the nourishment? It is, that is, qualify themselves to become fit to receive abundance. This is his nourishment, since this was the purpose of creation, which is to do good to his creations. Therefore, when the lower ones engage in with the aim to bestow, they cause unification above, meaning that who receives the abundance for the lower ones to become a giver. This is called the unification of the Creator, and that is there is contentment above, because the lower ones cause abundance to flow downward. If the lower ones do not work with the aim to bestow, it causes sorrow, the sorrow of that is there is sorrow above, that who's called cannot bestow delight and pleasure to the creatures. However, we should make two discernments concerning the sorrow of we should discern that there is sorrow from the perspective of the giver, called Creator, and there is the sorrow of the who is called the mother of the sons, meaning the assembly of Israel, who engendered the souls of Israel. Also we attribute to Malat that the giving of vitality to the Kippot, as it is written, and her legs go down to death. The meaning of her legs is Mal, at her end, which is called legs, she descends in order to bestow vitality to the Kot, who are called death, so as to sustain them. Otherwise Theot would not exist, since Theot are needed, as it is written, and God made it so they would fear him sustains them, just so they persist, meaning the amount that enables them to exist. This is also called very thin light, so they can exist. That is, we see that there is pleasure in the corporeal world, and that the whole world chases this pleasure in order to obtain it. In general, this pleasure is clothed in three things called envy, lust, and honor, were it not for the thin light through which places the pleasure within. These corporeal things could exist in the world, since without pleasure it is impossible to live, because the purpose of creation was with the aim to do good to his creations. Hence without good it is impossible to live. However, we should understand why it is called the sorrow of the since the created the world in order to do good to his creations. Thus it should have been called the sorrow of the Creator. That is the fact that the creatures do not engage in order to bestow causes that the Creator will be unable to bestow. So the sorrow should be attributed to the Creator, not to the who is called. Said, what is the difference between the Creator and the he? Said that it is one thing. It is as the Zohar says, he is dweller and she is. This means that both names are one thing but are light and cle, that is the place where the is revealed, is called. Hence they are the same thing, but where the light cannot be revealed because of the disparity of form between the light and the cle, it is considered that the where this should be revealed is deficient. For this reason we relate to the since they cannot be revealed to the low ones due to their disparity of form, and since we're speaking only from the perspective of the vessels, we call the exile in the dust in exile, since we are speaking from the perspective of the kim and not from that of the lights. This is why it is called the sorrow of the, as though she suffers from her inability to bestow upon the lower ones. But if we elaborate on the details, we should say that there is also sorrow here on the part of the giver, who is called the giver to the lower ones. But when we speak from the perspective of the, we call it the sorrow of the, according to the above, in order to have contentment above, because he spoke and his will was done. This means that in order for his desire to do good to his creations to be carried out, so the creatures will receive from him delight and pleasure, which is the joy that the created beings cause above. As Arsag said, there has never been such joy before him as on the day when heaven and earth were created, when the creatures walk on the straight path, when all their actions are in order to bestow contentment upon their Maker. They make mal, which is the root of their soul's work, in order to bestow what she receives for their soul's meaning for the soul, so they become able to receive in order to bestow. This is considered that the creatures cause the unification of the Creator, and is by this abundance is bestowed upon the Lord ones, because the abundance that is extended for the purpose of correction, that is through this reception in a manner that is in equivalence of form, there is pleasure above, since during the reception of the abundance there's no shame there, because of the correction that they receive in order to bestow. According to the above, we will understand what we asked. What is a man's blessing? Is the blessing of the sons, when the sons, meaning the created beings who are called the sons of the Creator, receive the abundance in a correction of a blessing, meaning that they want to receive only because they want to bestow contentment upon the Creator. Or blessing means bestow, which is meaning to bestow, as is written in the Zohar, that the letter bet is, which indicates blessing, which is the whole of who is included in the bit. It follows that by the sons engaging in blessing, meaning working in order to bestow, they cause mal above to connect with. This is called the unification of the Creator with his. From this unification they can bestow above as well, since the sons engage in bestow. This causes the blessing at the root above to be drawn down to the sons, and this is considered that the people of Israel receive the abundance from their Father in heaven. It is written in the said, the reason why the great of Shabbat are called inheritance is that all the that the children of Israel received from their Father in heaven is by an awakening from below. As they said, I labored and I found. Believe it is as people purchase possessions in this world. The greater the possession, the greater should be the exertion that they give for it. But the lights of Shabbat do not require any labor. The reason that the lights of Shabbat do not require labor, that Shabbat is the completion of heaven and earth, a semblance of the end of correction, when everything is corrected. Hence before Shabbat there are the 6 weekdays, which imply the 6,000 years of work until we achieve the end of Correction likewise, there are the 6 work days, which is the time of the work, and Shabbat is the rest. This is why our sages said he who did not toil on the eve of Shabbat, what will he eat on Shabbat? It follows that by exerting to emerge from the control of self-love and be rewarded with vessels of bestow, which is a blessing. By this there is contentment above that they can bestow upon the sons. Now we can understand what the Zohar answers about what is written. He blessed Joseph. We did not find a blessing here that he blessed Joseph, but rather his sons. He explains that when his sons are blessed, he is blessed. This is why it is written Joseph, since man's sons are his blessing. That is, Joseph is called the giver, and his sons explains the Z. His sons are regarded as which is called it. This means that Mal, who is called it, is because she contains all the letters for an to, since the letters are called Kim and the receivers of their abundance, which is called his sons, since she receives for the created beings. It follows that by his sons being blessed he becomes blessed. That is the giver, who is Joseph, called gives to Mal when can receive for the sons at that time is called the mother of the sons is glad. Hallelujah. When the lower ones engage into in order to bestow, they cause at the root of their soul, which is to equalize in form with the giver, who is called unification. At that time the abundance is poured to the lower ones, thus they cause to be able to receive abundance for them, hence is called the mother of the sons is glad. Hallelujah. Who hallelujah means hallelujah. Praise the Creator, who are called, who give the abundance to the quality of Joseph, and from Joseph who is to who is called, meaning of what is written, he blessed Joseph, and this is the meaning of man's blessing are his sons. If the sons are blessed, it is considered a blessing for man when he can bestow delight and pleasure. However, this work for all his actions to be in order to bestow is hard work, since all the organs of the body object to it. This is against man's nature, who was created with a desire to receive for his own benefit. This is the meaning of what is written, and I am a worm and not a man, a disgrace of man and despised by the people. You should interpret that I refers to I am the Lord your God. This quality in him is as a worm, meaning as weak as a worm, and not a man means that when I want to cling to I am the Lord your God, they say that it is unbecoming of an intelligent and reasonable person to go above reason. This is more like an insane person. The disgrace of man is the work of faith above reason. This is a disgrace for a person who thinks that man's main purpose is to cling to I am the Lord your God. In other words, wanting to be rewarded with I being as the Lord your God means that he will be rewarded personally, and this is called your God. At that time they curse and swear, meaning they say that this work belongs to angels, not to people, that it is a disgrace for a person to want to do this, even though he tells them. But you see that there are many people are working on the path toward being rewarded with the Lord being their God. At that time they say about these people that they are simply despised by the people, meaning that the nations of the world in one's body tell him that this work for a person to be rewarded with the quality I am the Lord your God belongs to the despised, meaning to lowly people, that it is a disgrace to even speak to them, since they are walking on the path of the Creator like mindless fools. In any case, when one wants to overcome their complaints, it is hard work, and there are ascents and descents. The person needs extra efforts, because the arguments of the nations of the world in a person stand ready to find some weakness in the work, so as to show man that he is wasting his efforts, since this work is not for him, and they advise him to escape the campaign. A person is powerless to stand against them, but only to increase his prayer that the Creator will help him defeat the enemies within him. This is the meaning of the verse. Many are the afflictions of the wicked, and he who trusts in the Lord fest will surround him. We should understand what is many are the afflictions of the wicked. It seems as though, because of it, he who trusts in the Lord will surround him, but in the work we speak of one person who comprises the entire world, meaning is that as long as one is under the control of the will to receive is called wicked, since he cannot say that his guidance is good and does good, hence he suffers torments when he wants to work in order to bestow. A person asks, why did I not suffer afflictions when I engaged in tar, and before I begin to do the holy work that it will be in order to bestow, I had joy in the work, and I was always happy, since I believed in reward and punishment, and this is why I observed too. But now that he has begun the work of best, he feels pain when he wants to engage into, and it is hard for him to do anything for the sake of the Creator each time he sees how far he is for means equivalent of form, and now he sees that he is far from it. The answer is that he should believe that the fact that now he has become farther from the Creator, and he is asking this, feeling that he feels that now he's worse than when he worked in order to receive reward, is not because he's really worse than before. It's not that now more evil has been added to him, and because of it he is worse. Rather, it is because now that he has done many good deeds, the truth was revealed to him that the evil in him governs him. Conversely, before he had the good, he could not be shown the truth, since the bad and the good must always be balanced. It follows that he is not in such a descent that he thinks that this work is not for him. He wants to escape the campaign. Rather, this feeling comes to him precisely when he has good. He believes in the Creator, that he was given from above to feel these states of pain, while one is still in a degree called in a degree of wicked, when he cannot believe in a guidance of delight and pleasure. When that person overcomes is called he who trusts in the Lord. At that time he is rewarded with will surround him. We should interpret that too will surround him comes from the word consequence. In other words, the pains that the wicked suffered was the reason for is meriting the quality of it. Follows that many are the afflictions of the wicked caused them to be rewarded. This is okay, right? I think that we shouldn't have any questions, but they ask, what can we do to prevent the sorrow of the it's all in our hands, meaning to give the Creator the ability to be revealed in our vessels through the law of equivalence, the form, how to differentiate between connection in quantity and connection in quality. In the 10, connection in quality, well, clearly it's between two or between a small number of people, and we can somehow scrutinize it. And connection in quantity, this could be in a 10, but not more than that. Well, it could be more, but on the condition that they already connect between them, the 10 as one, and then the calculation is according to the tens, and then hundreds, and then thousands. It's an accumulative matter. Yes, is there good that does good before recognition of evil with respect to whom there must be people who went through the entire path in the correction of their vessels. In the end, with corrected vessels they determine the good who does good. What does it mean? The blessing of the sons in the work that the Creator blesses the sons, that they are the results, the good results from a person. Okay, the article in itself is not complicated, it is simple. Yes, the system built in such a way that there is bestower mal sons. Why isn't its efficiency just Creator and creative beings? Why is there such a system called males? For man to be able to depict the vessel by which he is connected with the Creator that exists outside of him, and outside of the Creator there is something in between them, so that he can get closer and speak about something. A person would feel it inside of himself. What would he be able to work on? And if the system did not exist, then it would be just say the Creator. So how the person depict to himself that he exists outside of the Creator, and bit by can get closer to him and adhere to him. Why couldn't they, just the created beings, us let's say, just connect and be in contact with the Creator? Why do we need this mother of the sons that mediates between us and the Creator in order for us to be able to work with the forces of the Creator? But it is us, so we can leave our nature and connect to the Creator's nature. Intermediate degrees between us, and from there to bestow. It was done deliberately. If we did not have this concept of the just the Creator and the created beings have to connect and be in contact with the Creator. Well, how can they do it? Why not? Beings can depict to themselves a reality where they disconnect from what they had before and get closer to the Creator, and then they seemingly have some control over their State. This gives a person the possibility to talk about what is he, where is he, where was he before, what do he want to be, etc. So, where we want to get closer to the Creator, we need to portray to ourselves adhesion in him or this vessel called, which is complete. Here well, let's talk about that as well. The vessel where we are all incorporated is called the, and what fills the upper light is called the Creator. This is why it is written, she is the dwelling place, and he is the, and this is how they need to be together. We need to cause the feeling of the by the Creator so that the two of them will complete each other. So our goal is to cause the the yes or the joy of the Creator who stow upon the ultimately. Of course, we need to cause the joy of the Creator. This can be by the becoming revealed with its full power through our actions. Oh yes, anyone else? Yes, by his sons being blessed, he's blessed. 2. This principle is that the principle working in the 10. This principle operates in every spiritual action, which says what that we work on the vessels, and in these vessels later on the Creator is revealed. Is there another way to be blessed, or only through others? We are blessed by you gathering or causing the gathering of the broken vessels, and to the extent that they connect the light according to the equivalence of form is revealed in them. Another question: how can a person on a degree of the wicked can reach a state where I trust in the Lord? The degree of wicked doesn't mean that he is wicked, because everything comes from the Creator, from the shattering of the sin of that is. We shouldn't start with saying oh no, but rather this is the situation, and we have to discover that situation and see what are the steps by which we can establishing him, bring him back to a state of life, and so that he can feel himself. But when a person feels himself as wicked, it comes from the upper one. How does it come to a point where I trust in the Lord? Well, because this was to begin with. For what purpose does he discover himself as wicked? In order to correct himself and identify with the Creator. What does it mean I trust in the Lord? Trust the Creator means that he's also incorporated with the light of ad. And he says, when we speak from the perspective of the vessels, we call it the sorrow of the sorrow of the it's felt in our vessels, or there's also sorrow in the light itself. The general is in a state called sorrow, means lack of, therefore she cannot fill herself with the light of the feeling of joy or sorrow, or what he describes here, it's our sense of the right. It's not actual sorrow of cannot say it's truth or not. In truth, we feel that she feels sorrow, that she's in sadness, and that we are the reason for that state. Who is in sorrow? The created being, or the Creator, the place that the created being prepares for the revelation of the Creator. Again, anyone else now that he has begun in the work, he feels pain when he wants to engage in what are these pains of I think. How does it manifest? When you feel emptiness, that's called pain. Yes, that he could give contentment to the Creator, but in the meantime he's only giving him trouble. Person tries, I'm not sure what is in order to bestow, but at least when I try to do in order to bestow, it also feels as emptiness at the same time, like we give up on something. Yes, this feeling of emptiness is also bestowing upon the Creator. The Creator likes it when a person feels empty. No, there's no such thing if it's along the way, and immediately after that there can be an act of a correction and feeling that something else on the way, not just plain emptiness, but emptiness in the sense that we're trying to bestow, doing actions opposite to reception, and the vessel feels empty. So that emptiness is it. It causes contentment to the Creator. No, only the fulfillment causes, but the emptiness that we feel in our efforts is a condition for the fulfillment. Who knows that if it's a condition or it's not a condition? But how will the Creator enter if there's no place for him? It's not your business to worry about this empty place that you constantly are trying to excite all of us into this state of let us all love the emptiness that we should want to reach that. No, I'm asking that because it's difficult to be in that state. For what purpose? Try as much as possible to continue their corrections and feelings. Ganger, thank you. How do something non-tangible becomes tangible? When he talks about joy or happiness here, well, they were not revealed before, but now they become revealed. How is it that suddenly becomes tangible? Actual sorrow or joy, because the person already comes closer to the creator that he wants to do something for the of the creator for his benefit, and so for him be with an empty vessel, or a full vessel. This is the entire essence of when he starts and reads. Then he reads that as the sorrow of the okay. What is it he doesn't know? Then at a certain point he does know how. Does it how do something that's outside the senses suddenly becomes inside the senses a person who is in the study and doing certain actions. He discovers that the whole world is actually deficient, even though this deficiency is not revealed to them, and the whole world is suffering because the creator is frun. That a person reaches a state where the concealment causes him sorrow, not because he doesn't have it, he doesn't have something, but because the creator is not revealed to the created beings. Then he prays for the which is the place of the revelation of the creator to the created being, and this concept becomes his new vessel of feeling, where he feels joy or sorrow. Yes, everything is for now that we say it's the vessel of sensation of the creator where he feels pleasure or joy. So basically he receives a new emotional vessel shared by him and the creator. Yes. Well, imagines describes in a schematic way what his the gathering of Israel may be. If we can say it more clearly, he says that it's blessed be he the creator. So what is that's called blessed be he the arpin of art is as the creator towards the created beings. Another question here, if we feel the sorrow of the there's basically a discernment in or radiates lower somewhere, meaning a person who feels the sorrow of the means he discerns in, let's say, so can I asking of the mal what is it? It's all the worlds of, he says it's mal at its end. So is that what is it below? In particular, these are the vessels from below in the world of okay. Another last question, can it be that sorrow will be felt in the creator, or that the discernment of sorrow is only in the creator? We don't feel it, but only through. Wrote here something and I wasn't sure. First of all, he says that the feeling of sorrow is in the, but there's also a sorrow from the that from the dweller that he can't fulfill the vessel. So there's also a feeling that the creator has sorrow are the so because we learn that the creator always sees creator. Creation is whole and full. Well, that depends on what states we're talking about. Anyone else, it's written that when the lower ones engage in with the aim to bestow, they cause unification above, meaning that mal to which receives the abundance for the lower ones becomes the aspect of the giver. Yes, how does the become a bestower giver towards the souls? Of course she bestows to the souls, but we learned that the quality of mal is to receive, so to receive in order to be. So basically all the actions that we his lower ones do to receive in order to bestow is our identification with mal. We cause mal to want to receive in order to bestow, right? But we also say about the person himself that he has to achieve to receive in order to bestow, and ultimately it's all in the mal herself. But the person, through the corrections he enters, he becomes a part of that's not clear because there's a division, the souls and mal. Maybe we will find something else written about it. I don't understand this division. He describes a state where a person feels place. He writes that a person feels, or the person claims, said before I reached the path I was observing to run, and I felt good, and now I don't feel good. Pains and all kinds of troubles. Yes, I hear often friends claim that ever since they've been on a painful problem surface related to health or money. We even say, we give an example of the people of Israel who are now going through, let's call it corporal problems, is also because it's actually advancement. And I wanted to ask, what is the connection between the corporeal things that on the level of the still, vegetative and animate, and advancement on the level of speaking? I can't communicate the formula to you. That is how much progress happens on the speaking level within us, opposite the suffering suffered by the body and the environment and so forth. Meaning there is a certain formula, but I can't depict it, so it's not such some imagination, and that I mean I would expect that a person would reveal the evil. So in his feeling he feels bad, he feels the gap between the quality of and the evil within him. So this is a feeling, yes, But is it not some imagination that suddenly a person feels that he's sick or something? This is what I'm trying to. I think it's a some kind of imagination where he says this is also related to it. No, it can be related, but you can't explain this a connection. No, also you're not going to reveal it. You won't reveal it because that to the extent of lack of connection or connection, then you have a more open or concealed connection with the Creator, with the higher providence. But it could also be the opposite state where a person discovers the evil within him, his oppositeness from the quality of be, and he also succeeds financially and he feels fine in terms of his body, his health, or maybe not. I almost haven't seen that that's your answer. Not that we need to agree with person delving into some financial problem or sickness or something, but it is more compatible than what we can imagine as an ascent. Know someone else. The writes that when a person overcomes and he has trust in the Creator in spite of the pains, is rewarded with what gives the person the power to overcome. The amount of light that influences from above, so it's a drop and another drop, and they accumulate. Yes, you could say that. No, you said that the moment that imparts to the soul's higher quality becomes bestow, from reception to bestow. My question is, how do the soul she begins to be called the quality of mal is to receive, and the moment that she imparts to the souls it says that she now is bestowing. Yes, so my question is, how do the souls become givers? Bestowing to whom do they bestow? To whom do they bestow? How does the reception become bestow? To whom do they receive in order to bestow? Why? Because that's how they bring contentment to the Creator. The Creator wants to bestow. They say it's like the cow that has more milk than necessary. She is bursting, so that thus they come and suckle the fulfillment from the Creator. So why cannot Mal do it by herself? Why does she need the souls? But we can do it. That's according to the deficiency in Mal. There's a deficiency to give, and the souls have a deficiency to receive. There just has to be an intention here to bestow, to know, not go ahead. We say that the quality of is reception. When she bestows to the souls, she becomes a giver. The souls, it's the same there. Quality is reception. Yes, needs us in order to become the bestower, the giver. How do we become givers, bestowers? This order is, it's not clear with something on the level below me. I would understand it follows the same manner, same scheme. You don't understand how the receiver becomes a bestower by receiving in order to bestow. The intention changes. Why can't change its intention? Why does it need us? Because it's a system. Only the souls are in a state where they can place the degree, the intention, the action. That's exactly my question. What is the difference between the system of the souls and that upper system? Because what exists in the souls is a different substance. It's a substance of reception, and thus they can be more flexible, working either in order to receive or in order to bestow. And the substance of Mal, it's not the same. Anything besides that is just nature. More similar question right here. Therefore follows that in order to have contentment about, because he said he spoke and his will was done, meaning because his desire to do good was implemented, meaning the created beings receive of him delight and pleasure. This is the joy that the created beings cause above. As I say, just said there was no joy before him, as on the day that the heaven and the earth were created. They receive in order to cause joy above. They don't receive for themselves. It's not so clear how can there be such an ISS and an issue. You gave us an example of a child that when he's older, let's say 4 years old, he comes home, she lets him eat the food that she likes to prepare for him. He's not hungry, but he eats in order to give his mother content. This he makes the mother happy, but he himself is not hungry. He doesn't enjoy the food. So it can't be that the Creator gets pleasure out of something that we do not enjoy. We can't wreck him. The mother, she sees the child eating fine, she enjoys it. She doesn't know that he's actually suffering from the food is eating for her. How does it work with the Creator? The Creator enjoys because he can delight the created beings. The created beings enjoy since they can bring contentment to the Creator. What's not clear, these relations between us and the Creator. What is the food that he wants to give us? The upper light, inner light that fulfills the souls. What does it mean that we want to receive this light? that you want to eat. We have a deficiency, for what in our will to receive. But what do we push into our belly? What happens to what we're pushing into the stomach? If you're talking about actual stomach, I don't know, but if you're talking about the soul, is the upper light. Let's say we sit in the tent, we enter a lesson, yes, in the 10 we direct ourselves now so that the mother will enjoy from us, that we will be her good children. If you together as a 10 think about how to delight or please mother, then you understand that other the intention, what we call man raising there's nothing else to do, so you do that. What is this man? What is a request? Man is a request, a prayer. What is the request? That the upper one will give us all the conditions so that it's clear to us how we do the actions of bestow, and the upper one is capable and wants and to do it to complete the question. So there is a state where we seemingly do our work. The 10 or the person himself, he exerts in the intention, if I understand correctly, using the analogy of the mother and son. If I as a created being now make an effort to think for the created beings to think for the revelation of the Creator, and I ask for that happen in the world, I ask for that. If I don't feel joy as a result of this, if I make the effort but I don't discover joy as a result of that, something is wrong here. Right question. Seemingly there's a stage in our work where we have F's, but the baby or the child sees that he's giving contentment by eating, and it fails him because his mother is happy. This is the reciprocity between them. Food no longer plays a function, and for us in the work there is a stage where we make efforts but we don't have we don't feel the Creator's joy as a result of our efforts. First of all, is there such a stage in the work? Even child who's now eating in order to make the mother happy, eventually his feeling is because he sees the joy of the mother. This is what fills him. She's happy when he eats. He's happy because he sees that she's happy. Well, let's say so. Yeah, okay, let's say so. So we in our work, in our efforts, first of all, is there such a stage in our work when we make efforts in order to give the Creator contentment out of what we study, like with kids, and we make an effort to ask for the 10 and for the revelation of the Creator in the world, etc., etc. But there is no feedback from the Creator. It's not like the child looks at the mother and he sees her smiling. Is there such a state when we make efforts but we still don't see the Creator smiling? Is there such a stage in the work? I don't understand what you're talking about. Gee, I think you two have confused yourself a bit. When a person works, and does he feels happy in the work? He's happy that he has the privilege of working and still don't manage to right next time. No may, yes, quickly, thank dear. It says in the very last paragraph here, state when a person is still on the degree of the wicked because he cannot trust the guidance of the good, and Amira, when this person overcomes, is considered that he trusts the Creator, then he is rewarded with will surround him. He says here that when he overcomes, then he's surrounded with mercy. What is he overcoming? About this is how he comes to the quality of, because his initial original quality is the will to receive. He overcomes the will to receive, or he overcomes the will to receive. Yes, it's just that here it says that first he doesn't see the guidance of good and doing good, then where he overcomes, he is in. So the overcoming is over the desire, overseeing the good. Who does good? No, we're always speaking with respect to the desire. Okay, that's it. Amit. Yes, also about the last paragraph. Many are the afflictions of the wicked, but he who trusts in the Lord will be surrounded by mercy. This Ho writes, and he explains that when a person walks on a path he advances, the more and more he discovers the evil. Not that the evil is added to him, but it is only revealed to him how much he's buried inside of his will to receive his bad qualities. This evil is manifested not only internally in the person, but also it is manifested in how he influences his external environment. Sometimes he breaks over his A10, he may hurt his family. He discovers this evil, he reveals his evil towards his external environment. Well, with himself he can somehow balance it. He says here that the person should tell himself that if the evil is revealed, it is revealed because I also have good, and the person overcomes by that right. This is if he advances correctly, but if he doesn't advance correctly, then he discovers more and more evil that he cannot balance with the good, and then he erupts. Okay, so he needs to correct it of course, so his correction with respect to himself is more or less clear to him too. This person, what he has to do, he has lack of. Okay, so he comes and prays and tries to connect, but what about the ramifications of what he did to his external environment? How does he make the correction there? The creator corrects. There are such states, let's say, not everyone, not all the states, but you can say that many states the creator corrects them. He has no control. There's no control at all. The ability to change something also barely exists. He should think about the next state's future states. Okay, let's go to the next part. Oh, no, we have here, I'm all right. KV, we talked about and said that we need to bring contentment to the creator by connecting. The how do we do this from within the 10? How can we please the creator by connecting? The when we connect together and want to reveal the creator in order to give him contentment. So each one of us gives his supposedly 10th part to the general calculation. Then all those parts, when they gather, they are raised to the creator. They uplift to the creator. What is the 10th part that we convey, that we pass on the mal of each and everyone? All those mals connect and they bestow upon the creator. The creator receives them and fills them. Can we make a precision? We always learn that we restrict mal and convey what is above mal. Okay, yeah, that's how it is. But you're saying that we bring mal to the general connection. Each one of us has an individual mal. We want to connect them all together, and in this way reveal. That's how we reveal their body eventually passes away. How does a person use the seemingly unpleasant state to raise this on his body, on his life, like an opportunity? What he can do with his body or with the states the body is going through, which is called life, and what he could do by this, he's using it and raising it to the creator. Mark, why do we elevate our emptiness in the prayer? Why can't we simply ask for the ability to bestow in order to work with our vessels, to work with? The thing is that in the 10, when we want to connect, could have been easier to connect if we only asked for the intention to bestow. Otherwise there's a feeling that the friends will receive too. The will to receive for themselves, no, that can't happen, is made of souls that have come to the state of receiving in order to bestow. Is this correct? Yes. So let's say a person is on the 40th degree. Does that mean that on the 40th degree and below he is already a part of Malat, and on higher degrees he is still not corrected and wicked? Not that he's wicked, he doesn't know them yet. He doesn't know that desire yet. We're in this map is the stage of where he bestows. In order to bestow, you have to see all these things. It's all right. Let's go to the next part and I'll be right back. So we'll move to the next part of the lesson, and before that we'll sing a song together. We're studying in the book The Study of the 10 part 10 item 6. The words of the why. The study material is on your VOT system and in the writings, and in this stud part 10 item 6 the lights to a correction is added in them, because in the beginning these dots were without lines and without a puzzle. However, each of them was incorporated with a UD, as in the generality is mixed with them, and the lights did not show their action now through this connection that they were connected through this impregnation. The lights showed their operation. This is one is regarded as the L, and one is regarded as the goof, and the eye was seeing and the ear was hearing, etc. Again, item 6 the words of the why. The lights to a correction was added in them, because in the beginning these dots were without line and without. However, each of them consisted of 10, as in the generality that is mixed and mingled with them, and the lights did not show their operation. Now through this connection, where they were connected through this impregnation, the lights showed their operation. One is regarded as the one is regarded as the goof, and the eye was seeing and the ear was hearing, etc. Item 7 the words of the it follows that this impregnation is not in order to emanate zone once more, because they were already emanated. However, they were without the correction of lines and without a part. Also they were deficient one only from V from the 6 edges, and one only from 1. And now the impregnation the IU was to connect them, to tie them together as lines, and also as are, and to complete each one with 10 complete spot. This is through the drops of and through the new name mar, which was explained above. Again, item 7, the words of the art follows that this impregnation is not in order to emanate his own ones, more because they were already emanated, however they were without the correction of lines, and without are also they were deficient one only from V and one only from 1. And now the impregnation was in order to tie them together as lines, and also as a heart, and also to complete each one with turn. Completes this is through the drops of ABA and through the new name mar, which was explained above. No opening in light inner light. Item 7, the impregnation is not in order to emanate sown once more, because they were already emanated, meaning with respect to what came out instead of Nikim. Although these vessels fell to be, nevertheless all the records remained in ought, for the meaning of records is to return and draw to the vessels all the lights they already had at the time of Nikim. Hence it is not regarded as a completely new emanation, but rather only as a correction for one which already came out in the world of Nikodem. The drops of and through the new name, that is the beginning of the correction, is done for the zone through the drops of the coupling of Abba by the incorporation of zone in them, in the impregnation of come to them as the new map, which is the drop of ABA, which lowers the bottom hay from the R and elevates their H to their degree. Indeed, all the couplings and the levels that emerge in the world of Ort are regarded only as on the new name mar, but the essence of the name mar indicates however filled with alpha. This is not revealed to them except during the since the other couplings of are regarded as the names Elohim, and therefore the divides the level of correction into 2 phases. Cut note infancy through the first IBU impregnation, and gut adulthood or great wine is through the pneuma. The words of the RU find that each that the whole zone is not made only of the vessels of thought of be father when the lights rise in the eye and clothe in the he of they acquire their new vessels through this clothing, and then the first vessels that were broken are sorted, and from these 2 vessels is made, and likewise it was in the again. Item 8, the words of the RU find that the whole of zone was not made by the vessels of neot of bone, only rather when their lights rise as eye impregnation and clothe of they acquire the new vessels through this clothing, and then the first vessels that were broken were sorted, and from these 2 discernments in the vessels is made, and it was likewise in where Nuck. Item 8, inner light new vessels through this clothing, etc., was made of these 2 discernments in the vessels, which are the vessels of Mar and the vessels of Bon, since all the new vessels that emerge with the couplings that are done in Ot are called vessels of Mar, and the vessels that remained in the Z from the time of Nikim are called vessels of Bone, and these 2 kinds of vessels are in all 5 again in light. Item 8, new vessels through this clothing, etc. From these 2 kinds of vessels was made. They are the vessels of and the vessels of all the new vessels that emerge with the couplings that are made in Ort are called vessels of M, and the vessels that remain in the Z from the time of are called vessels of Bone, and these 2 kinds of vessels are in all 5 of. It's interesting how it all connects, how they cause the emerging of the supposedly common, that it's common between them. Well, we'll keep going, and we'll see the words of the item N. Now we will explain how through this impregnation the broken vessels were corrected. It was explained above that the breaking of the vessel of these vessels was primarily in order, was primarily because doctor and shells were mixed with them, and the lights did not connect with their vessels because of these draw in them, and the vessels themselves too could not receive the light because of the dross in them, as that in itself was the reason those vessels did not emerge to begin with connected and corrected through lines, because the draw in them caused them their separation, and also what is written above all this was on purpose, so the draw would part from them, and this is why they came out without correction, Again item 9. Now we will explain how through this impregnation the broken vessels were corrected. It was explained above that the breaking of these vessels was primarily because of the mixture of and shells in them, and the lights did not connect to their vessels. Because of those DRW in them, also the vessels that themselves were unable to receive the lights because of the draw in them, as this in itself was the reason that those vessels did not come out to begin with connected and corrected by way of lines, because draw in them caused them their separation, and also what is written above all this was on purpose for the draw to be separated from them, and this is why they came out without correction of the item 10. Through this impregnation the dross and the shells were sorted out from them, and the lights were sorted and parted from within their draw and the shells, and by this they were corrected. This is why we should clarify how by this the impregnation was sorted. Item 11. The thing is that during the ascent of the lights of those kings within IMA as man, they caused ABA coupling, and then sorts those kings, and the beginning of the faith within their thought clashes a small light, a dark light, and that thought rises up, throws sparks into 320 directions, and sorts the waste from that thought, and makes the scrutinies. The thing is that all the scrutinies of the kings are done through the thought, which is the their mind. There it is sorted, and from there later it comes down as the drop of coupling. Item 12. Through the coupling of ABA with IMA and the giving of their 2 drops, the 7 kings were sorted and corrected, and 320 sparks of drops emerged from them, which were not fully sorted, because in each discernment, each phase and degree, these 320 are sorted once again until the end of AIA, when complete draws remain in them, which are of no use, and they are the shells. You find that everything is in the calculation in the number 320 sparks, as that was the number of sparks that fell into the vessels when they were broken, opening me in light. Item 12. In each degree and discernment these 320 are sorted again until the end of the IA, because everything is in the count of the 320 sparks, as he interprets that was the number of sparks that fell into the vessels when they were broken. It is known that the TSB are incorporated in one another. This reason there is not a discernment that is sorted and rises from B which does not consist of, or which does not contain all 320 sparks, because that incorporation was the real reason for their shattering, as will be explained below. For this reason there is a need for the couplings ABA, which will sort and separate from them the judgments and the draws that come from the mixture of the 300 and of the last 32 sparks, which are the bottom here, without the sweetening with the quality of mercy, and then they become worthy of clothing those lights, as will be written below you. G. Words of the item 13. Asterisk. The thing is that when it came upon the will of the emanator to emanate the emanation with the upper, the first kings emerged initially in a complete judgment within the upper thought, and as it is written, those kings which reigned in the land of Edom, within them the shells and the judgments that are unholy are mixed, and because of all the judgments the land is cancelled, which is until the root of the judgment clashed like a hammer that strikes, and sparks come out in every direction, and so is the root of their judgments. He divided these kings into 320 sparks, as in the 32 pass, each of which consists of 10, and sorted from those sparks the sparks of the judgments of holiness, and they are the 32 in it. Genesis from the side of the judgment of holiness. Ken. Well, let's read below. Item 13. To emanate the ought with the upper beaner is called the upper land. Mal is called the bottom land, or the association of mal and beaner is regarded as the ought being emanated with the upper L's, meaning that the screen and the coupling is done at the place of beaner, at which time B is called the land. Adam, the root of the judgments, like a hammer that strikes, and sparks come out in every direction, etc., as the 32. The candle, or the dark candle, or candle of darkness, is always called the root of the judgment, which means the bottom hay of the FR restriction that was operated that operated in the pivot of AR, which is the middle point. The clash means beating because the screen where the coarseness of the bottom of the restricted bottom hay strikes the upper. Light rays is reflected like cold sparks that, flashing, emerged initially in the 7 king chaos, of where 4 kings were elicited through the 4 levels, one below the other in the couplings of upper, and the 4 kings through the 4 levels that emerged in the couplings of your suit, where from all of those 8 levels sparks fell into. Bias was said as a hammer that strikes, and sparks come out in every direction, and the number of these sparks is 320 sparks, as he interprets below afterwards at the time of the correction in the world of aught. That above mentioned coupling returns and sorts from them only their first 9, which are the first phases of the 332 sparks, which in Gim are 288, and they are called through 2 paths of wisdom, which shine in the 50 gates of Benar, as will be written below. I think there are no questions. At item 14, the words of theory. The meaning of the division of these kings into 32 paths of wisdom means that these kings are 8, each of which divided into 4, as in the 4 letters of the name have K, and 8 times 4 is 32, and each of these comprises 10 th, 320. This is the meaning of as when the king's wrath subsided in Gatrier. Subsided is has the letters of 320, which are the judgments, and the Rathu inner light. 14 inner light, each of which divides into 4, and each of those consists of 10. The division into 4 is according to the 4 phases of Koes in the screen, where each of the 4 phases elicits a level of T. Thus the 4 phases consist of 40, and each one of the 8 kings consists of these 40, thus 320 discernments in them. Here we should understand why he does not regard the 5 phases in the screen, since there are 5 phases of coarseness in the screen. The thing is that phase 4 is absent here, since after this appeared in the refinement of the goof of it was not renewed again, and here in them there is only phase 4 in clothing without any coarseness whatsoever. Hence there are only 4 phases of coarseness here. This is what he implies by the 4 letters of the name have, since in have 2 there is no level of K in them, but it is only implied by the tip of the at. This is also for the above mentioned reason. Okay, what is I? Impregnation. Impregnation, that is the first state. Thus we learned at impregnation suckling and greatness. So IU is the first state, meaning the records that start going into the correction to be taken care of, and they through them that can be clarified and scrutinized. So that is called I. Does it happen between 2? No, between the upper and the lower one grows through it. Thank you. K. Right, so keep going. Item 15. When the sparks of holiness were scrutinized through the 32 Elohim, as mentioned, the rest of the sparks descended downward, and the rest of those sparks are there in each one of the 32 first paths, because Elim is me, and me is G, the first 3 that are incorporated in Benar and are V, because G, and in each path from the first of their judgments was scrutinized for the side of holiness, although Mal in each and every path of the first ones became waste below, because she was last on each path and could not be scrutinized. That is what it means that the land was she is the land in every 15 in light, the and they in each path of the first from their judgments was scrutinized for the side of holiness, although etc. Okay, we won't have time to finish this, so let's leave this we'll let's stop here in inner light. Item 15. So let's go to the next part of the lesson. Yes, we are reading from the writings of Bassan. The article "For my flesh I shall see God" continuing in the headline. The need to attain the emanator. You can find the study materials on the system and on the website. "For my flesh I shall see God" continue in from the headline. The need to attain the emanator. Let's go. We must still know the lack that the intellectual soul feels. Let me tell you, but it is the need to attain its emanator, for it is engraved in its nature to crave to know its emanator and greater, since it feels its own existence. That is, it has been prepared by default to search what is above. It cannot be said that this lack is not defined in attaining its emanator, but that it rather pursues all the secrets and wishes to know about supernatural things and incarnation. This is not a CC to the rule that I've written above, that the internality of the matter is that which does not extend oneself, if it were a lack for attainment, would be depicted only in its maker, but it is clear that only this attainment is an internal lack which is not called an offshoot, but an inquiry of the creatures, in an extension towards others. For there not been creations in the world, such as if it were the only creation it would not have been pursuing to attain them whatsoever, but attaining its emanator a deficiency towards itself, and it is its being that is it feels itself as an emanated being, all its events aim towards it, and this is the deficiency that it feels that it will be able to attain its emanator, and to the extent that it perceives that vision we can accurately measure the size of its own body. We cannot get into the depth of these scrutinies, we don't have the right vessels, but we should be impressed as much as we caning the emanator. It is written, for you did not see any image. This requires interpretation, for what fool would think or gather that there is any corporeal similitude in the Creator, but in truth this is why there is our attainment in the Creator in the world, for no desire awakens for that which does not exist in reality. Rather, we can discuss this in the spiritual kind and in its ordinances, which is more spiritual than the whole of reality. This is the meaning of a mind whose form grips man's sensation and discerning truth and falsehood. This distinction is called the mind's body, according to the perception of the corporeal ones. For this reason this discernment was defined as a part of God, above which is truly devoid of any similitude, but is only gripped in the senses, and is called a decision or reality, or absence of reality, which is clarified in laws and ways. That the verse is called the body of the mind, and its image. We can say about it that this verse is part of God above, for which this image is included in oneself and one's perception of oneself and one's existence. The image in this verse is a complete and constant image of its situation, which cannot be completely annulled or slight. It is called a proven and necessary form, without additions or subtractions. This is the meaning of I and you shall not. Have we heard them from the Mighty One? The word I includes you who shall not have, meaning if the Creator had necessarily been revealed to them, no law or warning would have been depicted. You shall not have, but the Creator would have been revealed to them by His will, and it would not be an imperative. It is like a person who shows his wealth to his friend and tells him, I can show it to you, but now you do not recognize my wealth at all, so exert yourself to remember this form, and then I will want to give you part of my wealth, let alone that you will see all my wealth as long as you keep this form in your memory. That is, I did not give you this decision by imperative on which there is no ruler. Rather, I am the ruler, for all the earth is mine, all the seeing is with His simple will, and when I want you will not remember even what you saw in the vision, and when I want you will always see me. Moreover, I will also remind you all the forgotten things. This is from the wonders of the Creator, who cannot be depicted by any intellect, meaning to grasp the matter in full while keeping that man's mind, and it is voluntarily and do not compulsory to remain for the governance of the upper 1sh. Lot questions no. He shows him himself, and he says just keep it in your memory from this moment on. There's depiction of that wealthy soar, that's called the light of faith, that he keeps going without seeing their light by putting him before him, even though he's not before him. No, it needs to be revealed a little later. Okay, so what do we have? I would ask Nave to read again. Attaining the emanator, it is written, for you did not see any image. This requires interpretation, for what fool would think or gather that there is any corporal similitude in the Creator, but in truth this is why there is attainment in the Creator in the world, for no desire awakens for that which does not exist in reality. Rather, we can discuss this in the spiritual kind and in its ordinances, which is more spiritual than the whole of reality. This is the meaning of the mind, whose form grips man's sensation in discerning truth and falsehood. This distinction is called the mind's body, according to the perception of the corporeal ones. For this reason this discernment was defined as a part of God, above which is truly devoid of any similitude, but is only gripped in the senses, and is called a decision or reality or absence of reality, which is clarified in laws and ways. That verse is called the body of the mind and its image. We can say about it that this verse is a part of God, above for which this image is included in oneself, and one's perception of oneself and one's existence. The image in this verse is a complete and constant image of its situation, which cannot be completely end or slightly. It is called a proven and necessary form without additions or subra. This is the meaning of I and you shall not have we heard them from the mighty one. The word I includes you shall not have, meaning that if the Creator had necessarily been revealed to them, no law or warning would have been depicted. You shall not have, but the Creator would have been revealed to them by His will, and it would not be imperative. It is like a person who shows his wealth to his friends and tells him, I can show it to you, but now you do not recognize my wealth at all. So exert yourself to remember this form, and then I will want to give you part of my wealth, let alone that you will see all my wealth, as long as you keep this for form in your memory. That is, I did not give you this decision by an imperative on which there is no ruler. Rather, I am the ruler, for all the earth is mine, all the seeing is with this simple will, and when I want you will not remember even what you saw in the vision, and when I want you will always see me. Moreover, I will also remind you all that all the forgotten things, this is from the wonders of the Creator, who cannot be depicted by any intellect, meaning to grasp the matter in full while keeping that man's mind, and it is voluntarily and not compulsory to remain for the governance of the upper one. Is there anyone who wants to add something? Ken? Yes, what's the intellectual soul? It's a result of an intellectual calculation. So what is the soul in this relation? There are several discernments in each, which is a soul. We attribute it both to the light and to the vessel. This is why the question is what the question is about. We say that niche is the light that's revealed, and the W to receive that is corrected in order to be still. The light of niche. Oh, you mean the light of niche? Yes, yeah. And here he's saying an intellectual soul, so it's part of the light. No, it is a part that is revealed in the vessels of a person, which are on the level of niche, a degree of niche. Ken? Yes, that you won't make any depiction or see any picture. On the other hand, there's a lot of descriptions of the Creator, our Father in the sky, the King, on the degree. The masking learn that this degree is still not sorted, not clarified, and we can't point any discernments in regard to it. I am asking more in general. They're speaking about attaining the emanator. There's all kinds of images. How can you not think about them? You can't think about him all together. You can't think about him all together. You have to continue until he is revealed in a way that is suitable for him. But they are giving us all these images to use our Father in the sky, or to use or reject it, which is the same. We do have to think about his relation towards us. That's why we have these images. Isn't it like that? It's always like that. If you feel something, you feel with respect to your vessel. So of course it is about a person who still hasn't achieved spirituality, and here talks about complete spirituality. I'm thinking about as the stage we're in. So there are all kinds of images of the Creator's relation towards the S there. Well, there are plenty, yes, but those are depictions. Right, we can't advance without this or think of the Creator. This is why the Creator created them. So why is there a floor not to depict, although they are in your vessels? You advancing according to this, and in this way it serves itself. We don't advance towards it. So what is the right way to use all these depictions? I'm not taking it into account. So the purpose of these images are that we reject them as seemingly, purportedly. Yes, Mum, what you just said, that's called the intellectual soul. No, we'll continue all these things not now. It's unrelated already. Everything I say will lead to many questions and scrutinies, and I can't do it now, so we'll wait. What else do we have today? We have, you mean the rest of the day? Yes, so today at noon we have the Lesson. Is my camera okay there or not? They're fixing it right now. Okay. And at 5:30, we're reading the study of the 10 at 7:30, we're reading the okay. And that's it today schedule. Yes, all right. Is everything okay with the families? God, we'll stop here and we'll end with the. So I'm looking for a way to put together all the pie is up.